the math doesn't work. The Democrats are down 1.7 million early votes in the battleground states. In urban areas, they are down 1.4 million votes in the battleground states. Among women voters, rural voters have overperformed early by 300,000. Democrats have to win their races early. Republicans generally win them on election day. And the margins don't add up right now for the Democrats in any of these battleground states.
What's going on, y'all? I want to start this this video with a prayer. It's something that was on my heart today, and I'm gonna pray for the people that come to my house to look at the draft. I said the draft party, the election party, because I think that we all need the Lord in this situation, and we all need a little bit of peace. So bow your heads, pray with me real quick. Lord, thank you so much for waking us up, giving us another opportunity to serve you, to worship you. God, we pray right now in the name of Jesus that you give us peace and you give us a good sportsmanship, no matter the outcome. Because we all know that you're sovereign over everything. And whatever the outcome is what you allowed it to be. And we've given all that we can. And I pray, God, that you give us peace to understand that we've given all that we have to give. And we need to just rely on you and let it all go. Give us the courage to accept whatever result comes. Give us the courage to continue to fight the good fight on behalf of your kingdom and on behalf of this great country that you've given to us. And we pray for peace. We pray for clarity and wisdom in a time such as this. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. What's going on, everybody? Today is election day, and some of you guys are going to see this before you get to the polls. So I want you to understand this information. I want you to consume it, and I want you to be encouraged. Now, first of all, make sure you go out to vote. If you're watching this and you hadn't voted, you're a disgrace to America. So you better get out and vote today. Also, I got a link I'm going to put in the description section because the Trump campaign needs to know where we stand, right? So if you've already voted or you're committed to vote, click that link, fill in the information, say that you've committed to vote. If you still need information on where to vote, meaning that your polling place that you have to go and cast your ballot, or you need to know your registration status, all of that will be in the link that I put below. So go out and vote. If you need information to help you get to that point, the information will all be in that link. And I'd encourage you to get somebody else. So if it's not just you, get another person, get 3 people, text somebody. I text my best friend, bro, did you vote? Because I know he's going for Trump this time. Did you vote? Let's get it done, all right? Because this is where we win the game at right now. Finish it strong. I don't care what the polls say. I don't care what people say. We better go to the poll and finish strong. If we up by 100, let's make it 150. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make some election predictions. Let's get into this. All right. So I'm going to make a prediction, and it's not a prediction because I know 100% that this is going to happen. I'm just going to base my prediction on a few components and things that I've seen and learned and I've been involved in over the years, and most notably more recently. Okay, so I do think that Donald Trump is going to win this election. I'm very confident that he's going to win this election. I would be absolutely blown away and shocked, and I'd probably fall out my chair and have a heart attack and come back to life and cry if somehow he don't make it. I think he's polling very well. I think our early voting turnout is looking really, really good. We just have to finish strong. But there's a few things that have happened more recently that indicates to me that the Democrats are in trouble. One is that Kamala Harris is trash. I mean, we already know she's trash. She never even present a legitimate policy position. Every podcast that she's been on has been ratioed, meaning that it's 2 or 3 times more dislikes than there are likes. She don't have nearly the views. People are not interested. She just did an interview on Shannon Sharp, and he getting ate up in the comment section. Almost every single comment is negative towards him and negative towards her. That either is an indication that most people that listen to Shay Shay is conservative, or most men are conservative and they don't want nothing to do with Kamala Harris. All right, the second thing is to watch the media blow up in the flames and cry themselves to sleep and go in a full throttle panic. Van Jones is the one I really want to see after the election because he cried last time and he's going to be crying again. So I'm going to play a couple clips and then we're going to continue to have this conversation. But the first clip that I'm going to play is the endorsement from Joe Rogan. And people were on the internet saying, he didn't endorse him. That wasn't even a real endorsement. You know, they just making this up. Joe Rogan came out on his Twitter or X, and he made it very clear. It says, the great and powerful Elon Musk, if it wasn't for him, we'd be effed. He makes what I think is he makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump you'll hear. and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast. I watched the whole podcast on the plane. Had a wonderful lady that sat next to me. She was an older lady. I think she was like in her 70s or 80s. Very, very nice lady. Literally talked my ear off, but she was very sweet, so I didn't mind. But I watched the Joe Rogan podcast with Elon Musk the entire time, and I thought it was incredibly compelling. And I could not see how a logical person could listen to that and come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is the man. All right, let's go to the Elon Musk clip that we have of him saying something that I think is incredibly invaluable for us to understand, and I think it's the truest thing that Elon Musk has said in a long time. Roll the clip.
I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Yep. Like, there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left-wing, and they realize, like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. If the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried to push back?
And I just want to, like, go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does.
That's exactly what I heard earlier, and that's the message that I have. I mean, I think people don't understand the gravity to this. I think most do. Some don't. But I want you to, if you're watching this and you're still contemplating, get your butt out there and vote. Go sit in line. It's worth it. Because if 10,000 people, 20,000, 60,000, 100,000 people do exactly what you're going to do, that makes an incredible difference. Don't think it's just you. It's a bunch of other people that need to and want to do and act in a way in which I'm telling you to act. So I think it will be the last election. I really do believe that with my whole chest, because they're going to do all these shenanigans. They already said they're going to do it. They go after their political enemy. Everything that they claim that Donald Trump will do, they are doing and they plan to do. And if these people really wanted to make a difference in the country, they could have done it already. If Donald Trump wanted to be a dictator, he'd have done it already. Come on, people. It's a clear choice. But another thing that gets me motivated and encouraged about this election cycle, or at least this election day, and the results, is the way the media is responding, right? Look at these fools on MSNBC or NBC. Roll the clip.
We still have an electorate, 70 million plus, that will be voting for a man who said he was going to assassinate for treason the chairman of the Joint Chiefs because he didn't support him on January the 6th, who has said just in recent days he was going to execute Liz Cheney with a firing squad, 9 guns pointed and shooting at her face. A man who has said that he was going to shut down CBS because he didn't like how they edited an interview. A man who said he was going to be a dictator from day one. A man who said he was going to terminate the Constitution. A man who said he was going to use the army and he was going to use the National Guard on his political opponents. I literally could go.
Shut up. Hold on. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Shut your doggone mouth. This is why y'all losing. Donald Trump ain't never said that. And people are aware that they can just go look at the source. Now, some of y'all people stuck on stupid, y'all just keep saying this. But the people that got common sense are like, he ain't never say that. I watched what he said about Liz Cheney. Donald Trump didn't say she should be in a firing squad. These people are stupid. He literally said if she was at war, if she was on the front lines with guns pointed at her, like the people that serve this country that die on behalf of the decisions from these people that sitting and eating sushi and putting your kids on the front line, if she had that exposure and experience, she'd be less of a warmonger. That's what Donald Trump said. Everybody know he said it. He's going to be a dictator on day one. This fool said starting day one. Well, he joked about it. But he said only day one, and he won't be day two because he's going to secure the board and all that stuff. He's saying a joke. But since you think that he's serious, then you lying about what he said, even if you thought it was serious, because he said only on day one. So your sorry ashy butt should just be saying he'd be the dictator only on day one. You're a lying dirtbag, and you know you are, and a little heifer next to you know she is. All right, let's let it continue.
On all day, and yet you talk to Trump voters, and they'll go, he didn't say that. Wait, no, I didn't hear him. And then you say, well, here's the quote. And then they'll go, yeah, he didn't mean that. So There's something far more long lasting than
All right,
just
I'm done
on.
listening to that fool. All right, who's next? We got another one, Van Jones, the crybaby himself. A white lash. Van Jones, the weakest man. I hope he don't have no kids. I'd be embarrassed if that was my daddy acting like this guy. He's such a man without a moral a foundation. Like, he may have perception, but he don't have a foundation. The dude flip-flop every now and again. He's towing the line for the Democrats because he don't have any fortitude, in my opinion, or his fortitude is low. Roll the clip.
Worried, Philadelphia is where we've got to run up a big margin. But Philly overall has been trending down, not in terms of going toward the Republicans, just people not getting out to vote. And so you got people out there like Pastor Carl Day, who's got a bunch of young men with him, knocking on doors, trying to get people to come out. It's a bigger, tougher fight in Philly to get that vote count up than it has been in the past. That has me worried. The other thing that has me worried is that the Jewish vote in the suburban areas, Biden won the Jewish vote by 70%, 70-30 last time. Some polls show Kamala at 50-50. That is 70,000 votes we've bled away. That is the margin for victory. So you got groups like Zioness, Amanda Berman out there fighting to get the Jewish vote back on board. This is a tough
Trump campaign doing ads
and
to
the
try
Trump
to
campaign pushing the other direction. So this
Now,
is
hold on
a
second. What's her name? Rashida Tlaib or whatever her name is. She refused to endorse Kamala Harris. I want to let that sink in. All those people, the Palestinian people, I think they weren't playing when they said they're not going to show up for Kamala Harris because of what she's doing in the war in Gaza. Jewish people know that she ain't supporting the Jews. So I think the Jewish people are not going to show up for her like they did these other Democrats. Which Jews are just as silly as black people. I don't know how y'all voting 70% for Democrats. When they hate y'all. They do. They hate y'all, man. They didn't want the embassy to be in Jerusalem. They didn't want to recognize that. They don't even like y'all like that. I don't know how you vote for them. Same thing with black people. Anyway, let him finish.
It is door to door, bruised knuckles, tired legs, a lot of coffee, and I'm nervous and worried, and I'm not going to be anyway until this thing gets called.
Okay, is there anything that is making you happy about Pennsylvania?
No, there's nothing making me happy about Pennsylvania. You got David Urban out there causing us trouble in the rural parts of the state. Get David Urban on this show and keep him here all day, and then I'll feel better.
Just don't let him leave.
I don't want him out there.
Same question to you. Is anything making you happy about Pennsylvania? Is everything making you nervous?
I just have to say, if only there's something that Kamala Harris could have done early in this campaign to help with the Jewish voters of Pennsylvania, could it have been that the governor of Pennsylvania is a Jewish American who would have been, and a very popular one.
Just because if she'd been Josh Barrett doesn't mean every Jew is going to be voting for her.
I mean, it might have meant a whole bunch of Pennsylvanians voted for her. This could go down as the biggest.
Moving on.
I'm just saying. Anyway, I understand why you're nervous. Look, I think whoever wins Pennsylvania, I mean, obviously, 90+% chance are going to be the next president. And so these campaigns have pulled out all the stops there. The fact that Harris is going there a ton means I think they're nervous about it. And I look at some of this this early voting stuff, and it's like a witch's cauldron. You can lean over and smell the vapors, and you can kind of sort of see what you want to see in it. And Republicans have some reason to believe that maybe the Democrats aren't doing quite as well with their turnout operation. But the reality is nobody knows nothing. And so for old political operatives like Van and me, that does make you nervous because of the closeness of the polling and just the uncertainty around all the data. And I'll be as interested as anybody on election night. So I don't know whether I'm nervous or not, because at this point, I'm not sure there's, what else can you do? What else is there to say about it? Pennsylvania is the state.
But I'll tell you, the other thing that makes me nervous is in 2016, we had a big star-studded event right on the edge of the election, and we lost the state. I don't know if I don't think people understand. Working people sometimes have to choose. Am I going to go to the big, cool concert this week and pay for babysitting for that? Or am I going to try to figure out a way to get to the polls? I don't like these big star-studded events.
He says star-studded events. He's critical of it. What's the next clip we have that I think is pretty interesting? Here's another Democrat saying that they're concerned in early voting. And I just want to make a point that beta male sitting on the end with that pink blazer on, Bakari Sellers is the – let me not say that. You wrote a clip.
The math doesn't work. The Democrats are down 1.7 million early votes in the battleground states. In urban areas, they are down 1.4 million votes in the battleground states. Among women voters, rural voters have overperformed early by 300,000. Democrats have to win their races early. Republicans generally win them on election day. And the margins don't add up right now for the Democrats in any of these battleground states.
We got another one from Vivek, right? All right, let's play the one from Vivek, and which will touch on a little bit of what my thoughts are. Roll the clip.
The majority of voters in America are women, straight up. If Donald Trump's going to win this election, he needs men to vote for him in greater numbers than women vote for Harris by greater percentage. Is Trump going to be able to do that?
Let me say this because women going to get mad at me. I'm joking, right? Unfortunately. Because every woman that's watching this, y'all perfect. Y'all going to heaven. Y'all won't even see death. Y'all be like the Virgin Mary, okay? But I think that women do need to change their ways. If women were voting alone, which means that only women voted, we would be a communist nation. If black people only voted, we'd be a communist nation, which will be on the decline here very quickly. In the past, if Jewish people voted alone, we'd be a communist nation. The only people that vote with some common sense are white men. And I wish that other people would wake up and start smelling the freaking coffee beans and get some fresh air in their nostrils, because all these other groups are just trying to make us get into communism and ruin our country. I don't know why, but that's the way it's going. And don't get mad at me. I'm just a messenger. Roll the clip.
Tonight.
I think he is, and that's one way to cut it. I also look at other demographic groups that have historically gone for Democrats that are clearly coming our way this time around. Greater portions of the black vote and Hispanic vote, I think, no doubt. And then you put your finger on an important one, where I have traveled college campuses, met with young people across the country, and especially in swing states. And I think decisively we're going to see a greater shift in Gen Z towards voting for Donald Trump this time around. Casey, principally motivated by staying out of foreign conflicts, avoiding World War III, growing the economy, and bringing down housing costs. Those are some of the issues most on the minds of young Americans. And I think those shifts are together going to comprise, I think, a new coalition for Republicans. Reagan was the last Republican candidate to do this, to really build a new coalition. I think that's happening in plain sight. And if my experience traveling the country is any indication, I think that's going to be very positive for Donald Trump tonight.
I will say it's anecdoted for sure, but conversations among moms, other women I run into about young people, not necessarily quite college age yet, but they perhaps are showing, especially men, an inclination to be more willing to vote for conservatives than perhaps people would have assumed in the past. You mentioned wars, foreign conflicts. Do you think that's the main issue for them? I mean, what is driving that?
Yeah, if I had to boil it down to two issues, one is the concern that if there is a foreign war, God forbid, that the United States is involved in, that's going to fall on Gen Z's shoulders. I think there's a lot of skepticism, even from the millennial generation on down, about the failures in Iraq and Afghanistan. I think people give Donald Trump a lot of credit for not being a partisan, in the sense that he was actually bucking the Republican trend of supporting wars like the Iraq War. I think that's carried a lot of credibility with young people who feel duped by a lot of the bases for entering those wars. And then you look at the results in terms of the Ukraine conflict and the Middle East conflict. We didn't have that under Donald Trump. So I think that's probably the number one motivator for young people. Combine that with rising costs. What we've seen over the last several years, and this is a hard fact, is that prices have gone up, but wages have not kept up. And that keeps the American dream out of reach for a lot of those young people. I think the top concern, frankly, for people graduating from college with debt is, are they going to be able to start a family and own a home? And it is a hard fact, Casey, that about 4 million Americans, fewer Americans, own a home now than they did under the Trump years. And so I think those are the two factors, especially motivating young voters, especially young men, but I see it among some young women too. This is a real concern.
Sir, if Donald Trump loses the election today, should he concede?
Look, I think that one commitment I think Republicans can make is, if Donald Trump loses this election and Kamala Harris becomes the president, God forbid in my case, I'm not rooting for that outcome, Republicans are not going to launch some type of multi-year investigation that impedes the first 2 years of her presidency with false allegations of foreign election interference. We've seen that within the last decade in this country.
Right, but it's a yes or no question, sir. I mean, should he concede or should he not?
I think whoever wins the election should win the election, and whoever loses should concede. But the fact of the matter is, when we look at the last 10 years, in case you and I both understand the subtext of this question, there's been this, I think, brewed up concern that I think is really designed, I think, in many ways to mislead voters about what's happened in the last 10 years.
Misleading voters.
There's
I mean, people
been
attack the Capitol to try to interrupt the process of certifying the last election.
I can't hear that. When the women say they attack the Capitol, I'm so sick of this. I can't wait for Trump to win so we can be done with that Capitol conversation. These people just running that just to win an election. They don't really mean what they say. They don't really say the things that they really mean. But these indications are what are predictors for me in this election. We're going to go live from our house later at 4 p.m. or 4:30 p.m. Arizona time, which is 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to start a little live stream at the house. Hopefully it goes well. If it somehow don't go well, I'm going to turn it off and just hang out with my family. We got a bunch of people over the house. We're throwing an election party. And so it's going to be a good time, but I'm predicting that we win. I really do. There's no reason that we shouldn't win, right? The only reason that we would it would even be close is because of propaganda. I mean, it's clear. It's clear who's best for the country. It's clear who did better when what administration was in power. And I don't know how anybody believed that all of a sudden this woman is going to do something different than what she did when she was in office. I mean, they got some things they need to answer. If she's going to do something different, then she needs to articulate. If she would be smart if she did this, but she didn't. She should articulate on the campaign trail that I tried to get these things passed when Biden was in office, but he refused to act. So now when I take the lead, I'm gonna do all these things that I wanted to do while he was in office. If she said that'll be a tough pill to swallow, because who can prove otherwise? The woman ain't even saying that. When they asked her, what are you gonna do differently than Joe Biden, she said nothing. She somehow is gonna turn the page, and you never recommended any of these things while you've had power. You never said anything to Biden about this. You just all of a sudden gonna turn a leaf, and then she's a woman. I'm telling you, like, I think America is gonna have a hard time electing a woman. Only women think that only some of these women think that a woman is gonna lead well, and I don't think that that's the case. You have to be a special woman to lead. Traditionally speaking, biologically speaking, men are made to lead, but there are women that can. She ain't one of them. And I think you have an uphill battle to climb as a woman if you want to be in one of those high positions. You got to be on your game. You got a lot of things to overcome, physically, emotionally, perceptionally. Women got a lot of things to overcome in order to make somebody believe that, wow, she can get in front of Putin and she can get in front of Netanyahu and some of these other people and be a strong advocate for the American values and stand firm. Somebody that's little and frail and cackling doesn't give you that vibe that she's going to go and be serious and can have a real conversation where when she says something, people know she mean it. And I'll say this, then I'm going to let it go. Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, had a better chance. If Hillary Clinton would have won the election, I wouldn't have any issue with her speaking on behalf of the United States of America to foreign governments. I think she'll be wrong about it. But I don't think she'll be a coward. I don't think that she will come across as weak. I think she'll put people in place where she will exude strength, even though it'd be completely wrong, getting us in wars and all this other crazy stuff. And she wasn't as progressive as Kamala. But now Kamala is on the scene, and she don't exude none of those characteristics of strength in any kind of historical reasoning that one would have to believe that she could be a good president. She cackles. Who's going to be in our administration? Tim Walz is a beta. I mean, they could have got a real man wearing camo or something, and people probably would be like, "Oh man, she got a real man." It's like they got two women. They got Kamala and Tim Walz. He half of a man. Ain't nobody vote for these people, man. All right, man, we better get out of here. I'll see y'all the next one. I'm out.